Welcome to Three Chords and the Truth, a YouTube podcast. I'm your host, Peter. With me is my co-host, Andrew. Good morning, Andrew. How are you?
Good evening from Toronto. I'm well. How are you?
Yes, you're in our intrepid Toronto studios, and I'm here in Brisbane, Australia, in an Australian palatial studio environment.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we're international. We're an international podcast.
That's what you're telling me?
That's what I'm telling you. I'm not paying you. I'm not paying you a cent, but that's what's happening. We're on a Just Hit Play network, and we're an international podcast.
All right. Perfect.
Do you know we're up to 1,000 listener or 1,000 downloads a month, which is a high for this podcast. So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty happy about that.
Well, it's unfortunate that this is going to be the last podcast episode.
Are you calling it quits?
Well, I can't continue to do this anymore.
You're going out on a high. We're at 1,000 downloads. So that's enough.
Done.
Well, let's make it a good last episode. How's that?
Perfect.
So I tasked you with watching YouTube Rattle and Hum, the movie. You know, we did review the album last week, or we did a 2-part review of the album. So if you haven't heard that yet, go back and listen to our other podcast or other episodes. So now we're strictly doing the movie. So why don't we leave our review of the movie till the end, and let's just go through the meat of the movie. How does that sound?
That's why it's the last episode of this podcast.
All right, so the movie was released on 10th of October, 1988. What were you doing on the 10th of October, 1988? Were you in your short pants?
I was probably in my short pants, sucking on a lollipop. Yeah.
Now, did you go see it opening night?
I don't think I did. I think we briefly discussed this before. Yeah. And I don't even remember if I saw it in the theater, to be honest. I'm sure I did, but I don't have any recollection of it.
I was there opening night at a full cinema in Square One in Mississauga, Ontario.
Of course you were.
And I was really surprised it was a full cinema because, you know, I think we grew up in a different way, where I grew up in the suburbs and you grew up in the main streets of Toronto.
That's correct.
Where you had fellow U2 fans going to your high school. I had no one. I was the only U2 fan that I knew of in my high school, at least in my age group. So I went to the cinema by myself at like 12, 13 years old. So my older brother dropped me off, and he wouldn't even go see the movie. So I went by myself, and he picked me up later on. I think it was like a 7:00 showing, if memory serves. So yeah, it was and I guess you had a different experience because you had friends that were U2 fans.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now, do you remember what kind of confection you would have had at the theater?
I would have probably gotten a drink and popcorn. I do love popcorn, so that's probably would have been my choice. Yeah.
Cinema popcorn.
Not a fan?
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I just haven't been in the cinema in years.
How long? What was the last movie you saw?
The last James Bond movie, which was also shit.
Yeah, I can't even remember the last time I went to the cinema. Yeah, it's been a long time. It's not the same as, you know, the movie experience that we had, because there was no cable television movie channel. There was no streaming or anything like that. So you were limited to what you could rent at the video store and what came on TV. That was pretty much what your choices were.
Right.
So it's a much different world now.
That's what they say.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the movie. So it starts off with a cover version of Helter Skelter by the Beatles.
Oh, are we really deep diving this deep?
We're going scene by fucking scene. We got to pad this out so we can get our downloads.
Now, what happens if we get like 1,100 downloads this month? Then what's?
I don't know. We'll how about this? I'm trying to get the Fly Shades to a company to sponsor us. They haven't responded to my email, surprisingly. How about that? We get that many downloads and people subscribe and send me messages. I'll buy a pair of Fly Shades.
Wonderful.
And I'll send it to someone. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
So you'll get the Fly Shade.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I'll personally go to 1,100. Everybody who downloads this episode, I will go personally to your house, no matter where you are in the world, and ask you this one question.
Yep.
Why the fuck are you listening to this?
That's a fair question. Do we really? I don't know if I want to pull that thread.
Back to the movie.
Okay, so we start with Helter Skelter. Opening line. This is a song Charles Manson stole from the Beatles. We're stealing it back. Okay, I guess an interesting way to open up a show. It shows them doing a cover song. Maybe it's not expected. I'm trying to remember if the album was released before the movie, so this would have been on the album. So, do you know if the album was released before the movie?
Couldn't tell you.
All right, you talk for a little bit, and I'm going to do some research.
Okay.
So tell me your thoughts of Rattle and Hum. Or Helter Skelter.
Helter Skelter. I mean, it's you two thinking they're the 80s Beatles, which they weren't.
Yeah.
And this is why the whole thing got slammed.
Yeah.
It was them pious and holier than thou and, opening up a movie. I mean, the first thing you're going to put out is a cover of the Beatles. Come on.
The Beatles, yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous.
So here's the research I've done. So the album was released on the 10th of October, and the movie was released on the 27th of October. So that being the case, we would have heard this version definitely on the album. And I think that's a misstep. I think if you want to open up with a cover version, you don't release the album before you release the movie. But I guess, you two are a music band. The album is important. Not everyone who bought the album was going to go see the movie. But I think it would have lost its impact, going into the movie and have already heard that song. Mm-hmm. So just a personal thought.
I don't have any thoughts. Continue.
Going on to Edge singing Van Diemen's Land in Dublin. Now, you're not a big fan of Van Diemen's Land.
Don't like it.
No. So did this song do anything for you at all?
No.
And then, it's an okay song. Like, I like Van Diemen's Land, and it's an okay version. It's nice to see, I guess, behind, before the song was released and sort of seeing the demo of the song. So that was kind of fun to see. But now we move into what was wrong with this movie, where the director sits down with the band members to try to get them to say something interesting. And the band have no intention of doing that. They don't even know what the movie's about. And this is where I guess we're going to start seeing the failures of this movie, where the band just aren't interested in explaining anything, and they just want to, I guess, play their music. So we go to a bit of a short interview that goes nowhere. It's did you feel the same way about that?
Yeah, I mean, when the director has the same haircut as the lead singer of the band, a problem.
Yeah.
And then it's an hour and a half of worship of this band. It's not a great documentary. I'll get into it at the end of what I think are great documentaries and what's all the issues I have. But I don't really have a lot to say about like the movie. I watched it again. It didn't do anything for me. I'm sure I watched it to death when I was a kid when it came out.
Probably, yeah.
But it's just, it does not age well.
After the failed interview attempt, we move into a studio version, or at least a demo version of Desire, which has some alternative lyrics. So you can see that U2 hadn't really experienced what that song was going to be yet. I guess they were still working on it. So that is where you get a little bit of a different version of Desire.
I think it was actually a decent version of the song. I enjoyed watching that again.
Yeah, it's, again, some interesting camera work. The camera sort of spins around, and you get some alternative lyrics, and they haven't really worked out what the song was, I guess, 200%, but it was pretty close to what the album version of it is. And then we move to what I think is the best part of this movie, and it's the live version of Exit. I think this is probably one of the greatest live U2 songs that I remember. It's recorded beautifully. The band are on fire. So this is my highlight of the movie, and is Exit. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, same thing. I think it's the best live recording on the movie. Do you know where it's from?
I'm thinking they recorded a lot of stuff in Denver because they had such a good time recording Under a Blood Red Sky that they wanted some of that magic to come back. So I think this was recorded in Denver.
Someday I'm going to remember to turn my phone off during this thing. That was my phone.
That's all right. Moving from the highlight of the movie to something that I think is the low light of the movie is going to Harlem and recording with the New Sons of Freedom. And I still haven't found looking for. Now, I guess when I was a kid, I might have enjoyed this, but I think it's so, I don't know, just so obvious what they were trying to do, and it just doesn't sit well with me now. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I actually fast forwarded through it, so I didn't even watch it. I had no interest.
The only interesting thing that I found, because I'd seen it so many times, that it was interesting to see Bono's arm in his sling. So it would have been around that time where he fell off the stage and dislocated his shoulder. So he was slinged, and so that was probably the only interesting thing. It's a nice recording, I guess. Actually, you know what I noticed, I never noticed before, was that Larry makes a big deal of getting a conga drum, and he goes, how excited he is to play the conga, and you can hear the conga drum a little bit during the performance, but there's actually another guy playing the conga drum in the background. So who is actually playing the conga drum? Is it Mullen, or is it this mysterious person who probably is with the New Sons of Freedom, was probably a conga player with the choir? So that I thought was interesting. I'd never noticed the second conga drummer in the background. So that was, again, if I'm noticing that, I'm not really paying attention to what the song is.
It's the fifth member of U2.
We go to Freedom for My People on the Streets of Harlem. Again, nice song. We talked about that in other episodes. And then we go to Silver and Gold, live performance of Silver and Gold. I think this is a lovely performance, another highlight of the movie. Are your thoughts similar?
Yeah, it's decent compared to what we had just sat through. Sorry. Nothing more to add.
And I didn't remember how angry Bono got, because he slammed down that microphone when I guess he thought people weren't paying attention or caring what he was talking about, apartheid in South Africa. He really slammed that microphone down and was kind of angry.
I guess I didn't remember that. Yeah, I guess at that point, people hadn't watched the 3-hour-long interview he did with Joe Rogan, which made me slam down the microphone.
We'll get into that at the end. I haven't seen it yet, but we'll get into the Joe Rogan interview.
Well, kids, I watched it, so you don't have to.
Yeah, let's do a deep dive into Joe Rogan at the end, and you can tell us what happened, because I don't like Joe Rogan, so I don't know if I could sit through the 3 hours.
Onwards.
Yeah. From there, we go to a news conference where U2 look like deer in headlights, or as they like to say in Australia, kangaroos in headlights. They actually say that here.
Is that a term?
That's a term.
Hey, those kangaroo videos of them boxing humans, are those real or are those staged?
There is a famous video where this kangaroo is attacking someone's dog, and he goes to defend the dog, and he fronts up, and they start boxing with each other. So that's real.
That is a real video.
Yeah. What you have to watch out for kangaroos is not the boxing so much as that they'll lean back on their tail, and they'll attack you with their back feet, and their back feet and nails are quite sharp. So they're trying to disembowel you when they do that. So
now,
go for it.
Have you seen a kangaroo in the wild?
Oh yeah. They're everywhere. Yeah. Not so much here in the city, but as soon as you leave the city, yeah, you'll see them.
Yeah, somebody in England asked me if I'd ever seen a moose, and I was like, well, of course. Not like in Toronto. I don't see them walking down Yonge Street, but I've seen them, outside of the city.
Well, I did a wedding in the Outback about 10 years ago. And I went with my buddy Darren, and we did the wedding, and the wedding was on a property. And when I asked how big the property was, the guy whose wedding it was told me, oh, it's a tiny property. It's only 50,000 acres, which blew my mind. But so that's tiny. And then it's the middle of the Outback, like this, where we were on this property. And so when we left, we were driving to our Airbnb back in the town where the wedding was. So it would have been like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And we were driving maybe 20 kilometers an hour as there was like hundreds of kangaroos near our car, just darting in and out in front of our car. And we had a rental, so we didn't want to hit one because they're quite big. So we didn't want to cause any damage. But there were literally hundreds of kangaroos just hopping down the highway. It was quite interesting.
Well, I'm more interested in the kangaroos than I am in the Rattle and Hum movie, so that just proves my point. There's my review right there.
All right, from the news conference, we go to San Francisco and Free the Yuppies concert. Again, this song was on the record, so I guess it was okay to see it live. It wasn't, they learn the song a few minutes before they go on stage, whether that's true or not. If I don't know if you believe that, but that's what the movie shows us, that they learned the song and then they went to play it live just to show them off the cuff and how U2 are, what great musicians they are. I don't know if that was what they were trying to show.
Rock and roll stops the traffic.
Rock and roll stops the traffic. And from there we go into In God's Country. Another good version, not on the record, which was nice to see that this song wasn't on the record, and it's a pretty good version I like in God's Country.
Yeah,
Fine
same.
recording. Yeah, it was good. And then we see a glimpse of U2 backstage. Now, I would have liked,
really.
I would have liked the movie to be more like this, having moments of them backstage and just to show what a U2 show is like. I thought if it was a full U2 concert, showing the backstage pre-post, them talking about how Edge is never on time or a different time signature, and they're talking about the BB King song coming up. That's what I was hoping the movie was going to be. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be the more interesting.
Yeah, it would have been more interesting. Huh? Yeah. But I think the band had no interest of showing what their life was backstage. I think, and we'll talk about that as we go on, but I think that the band really stopped the director from releasing footage like this, because there's hours and hours of footage that have never been released, or they might be on outtakes on YouTube at this point. But for years, no one saw any of it.
Yeah, I mean, the band of themselves said the movie's a mistake.
Yeah.
Right? So...
yeah. They're trying to guard their anonymity a little bit, and maybe they felt like it got a little bit too big on them, but again, we'll go into that. The BB King version, what do you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah. Rewatching it. Yeah. I like BB.
Yeah, BB's all right. I like how he doesn't want to play chords, and there's only 2 chords in the song, apparently. And then we go to Edge sliding down a hill with Heartland playing in the background, and him saying, wow, as he looks at the Mississippi River.
Fucking stupid.
And through the gates of Graceland, and Larry apparently loving Elvis movies. Have you been to Graceland?
I've never been to Graceland. You know what's fucking ridiculous about this interview with Larry? There's a lot of things that are stupid about Larry. He's not the fucking sharpest member of the band.
Yeah.
He's got an open carton of milk just sitting on the counter behind him.
I did not notice that.
Who the fuck does that? Just right in the background, just sitting there open on the kitchen counter.
He's a wholesome guy. He likes his milk. I don't know.
I understand, but you keep it in the fridge. You don't just fucking leave it out. Like an interview for a movie like that would probably go on for hours.
There's studio lights that could be warming up the milk. So you were more worried about the carton of milk going bad.
100%.
That's fair. And do you know what I found funny about the whole Graceland thing?
Go on.
Is that the tour guide who Bono sidles up to try to impress got a byline in the movie. She got a starring role in the movie because there's so other little people other than U2 in the movie that I think she's like billed like 6th, I think, in the movie.
Yeah, well, that's your ego for you.
So that I thought was quite funny that she got 6th billing in the U2, or I could be wrong, could be 7th or whatever, but she got a top billing in the U2 Rattle and Hum movie.
Yeah, I found the whole Graceland thing kind of ridiculous, and again, why put it in there? It's meaningless. There's really nothing to it. I mean, there's Larry at the grave, and Larry sitting on a bike, and Larry fucking pouting, and Larry with his rolled up sleeves on his t-shirt. Who gives a fuck? Next
is Bad, a live recording of Bad. What are your thoughts?
Ooh, I like Bad.
This is a good live recording.
It is a good one.
Yeah.
Just Bono's wearing suspenders, right, and no shirt. Is that what's the fashion statement on this one? Yeah.
I was rewatching a little bit this morning as I was making my notes before we record this podcast, and I was watching it on the TV, and the Bad part came on, and Angie was sitting next to me, and she just rolled her eyes and go, "Oh," when she saw Bono shirtless with the suspenders.
I know we could blame the '80s, but I don't know anybody in the '80s that would trust something like that.
No, neither do I. It was live. And maybe the Chili Peppers, maybe. maybe then. It's a good version. I love this. Is probably my favorite U2 song ever.
Yeah,
it's recorded beautifully. I like the little Rolling Stones and Lou Reed sort of little snippets, but he had been doing that for the years at this point. Beautifully filmed, recorded wonderfully. Jimmy Ivan, who did all the recording, did a really good job. I think it's recorded wonderfully. It's the movie that lets it down, unfortunately. So, yeah. Now we go into what I think was supposed to be the center point of the film and the shocking moment of the film where we drop from color. So we go from black and white to color. And we start with The Streets Have No Name, recorded in Sun Devil Stadium in Arizona.
Yeah, I could see that if you're watching that in a cinema.
In a cinema, it's cinema specific, isn't it?
It would look amazing, right?
Yeah. I think that's your moment where you try to wow the audience. On your iPhone or, smaller TVs, it probably doesn't have that impact. But in a cinema, when you've been watching black and white, then all of a sudden you get this color. I think that's where the impact was supposed to come. I don't remember it being that impactful. I don't know. Again, I was really young when I saw this, but I think that was the sentiment going in. Now, I don't know if you know this, but the opening shots of Streets was pre-recorded, so there was no one in the audience during that scene where they come out and Bono sort of waves to the audience. That was all filmed for the movie before the audience were even in the stadium. I don't know if you knew that part.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so that was the only part of the movie that was faked to make it look more cinematic.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that was, I thought, was quite interesting. Yeah, so if you're watching Rattle and Hum, if you ever watch Rattle and Hum, the beginning of Streets is all filmed with no one in the stadium. It's all filmed just for the movie. And the tickets for that show were $5 to ensure they got a full stadium.
Now, is that the concert? I remember seeing an interview with Jimmy Kimmel, interviewed them, and he said he was at
that could have been the
one of their shows and was like dirt cheap. I think it was like $5. I think he's from Arizona originally.
Yep. I think there was $5 for a couple of reasons. I think they really wanted to fill the stadium to make it look good for the movie. And this show was not lit for the audience. It was lit for the movie. So the lighting for the stadium would have been terrible. You would not have been able to see the band well at all. So I think that's why they made it so cheap, because the concert was not put on for the crowd. It was put on for the director. So yeah, that's why it was so cheap. Again, Streets is a lovely version. I think it's recorded beautifully. Edge goes on a little walk for a second or two going across. Yeah, it was fine. Again, it's filmed beautifully. It's a good live recording.
Yeah, I agree. It's fine.
Yeah. MLK is next. They called this the Blade Runner lighting sequence, where there's just a light going around, lighting sort of giving Bono a bit of a silhouette. Nice version. I've heard MLK many times, so it's an okay version. Any thoughts?
Same. Yeah, that's a decent enough version of it.
Yeah. With or Without You, again, lit very well, filmed beautifully. Lovely version of the song. This is the first time I heard him doing the "We Are Shine Like Nights in the like stars in the summer sky," whatever the line is, which I thought was a really nice touch to add to the song. I think it really adds a lot to the song. Yeah. Again, really great song.
Yeah, that could have been the video.
It could have been
relation. I mean, like like you said, it's well shot. So
yeah. Again, Phil Joannou is a very competent director. I think he lights things very well. He films things very well. The camera movements are absolutely fine. I think, and we're going to go into saying storytelling is where he lets it down.
Now, what else did he direct? Anything?
3 O'Clock High, I think is what it's called, where a character is in high school and his bully wants to fight him, and so he sets it like a time. He goes, he's going to fight him after school at 3 o'clock, and it's about him going through his day trying to figure out how to defeat this bully. That was the movie I remember him from. And there was another movie called Intrepid or Entropia, something like that he directed, that you two are actually in, that he filmed during, I believe it was Pop Mart, and you two make an appearance in the movie. So there's a couple. Couple.
Is the bully in 3 O'Clock High a kangaroo?
No, he's not. No. It's he's a scary bully. I'll give it to that. They picked a guy who looked pretty scary. Yeah, I think it's called something called 3 O'Clock High, something like that.
You're not going to make me review that fucking Entropy movie, are you? With
have you ever seen
walking on?
Have you seen it?
Never.
Okay. Maybe at the end of once we finish all the U2 albums and we're trying to source material, we might have to revisit that movie.
What was the book was called Killing Bono.
Yeah.
But I forget what the movie was called.
I think it was called Killing Bono, yeah.
I don't think in North America it was, but
okay.
That movie, mildly interesting.
It was kind of interesting, yeah. Again, You two are rare, not in it very much. They're in it a little bit, but it's again a character peripheral to the band and what they're trying to do. So it's interesting.
And that was Neil McCormick, right?
That is, Neil McCormick. I thought the book was the book was fine. The movie was okay. I like the book quite a bit. I have it somewhere. Yeah, maybe we'll do a YouTube book series after this.
Oh, wonderful.
Bullet the Blue Sky.
Andy's Book Club, we'll call it.
That's the next
Andy's
podcast.
YouTube Book Club.
Bullet the Blue Sky. What were your thoughts?
No thoughts.
You don't think this is the showpiece of the film?
No.
Okay. This is where the album cover came from. The name of the record came from this.
I didn't notice that. Huh.
Yeah. Finally, we go to Running to Stand Still, which covers the color version of the film. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, it's actually a really good version.
Yeah. Wonderful song. Like Running to Stand Still is a wonderful song.
Yeah, I know you had to be hard on for it. You've said this.
It's probably the only song I could ever do in karaoke. Maybe that's why. Not that I would ever do karaoke.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
Yeah, I've never done this in karaoke, but if there was ever a song, maybe I would do this and people are like, what the hell is he singing that? Because it's not, Meatloaf or whatever people like to sing in karaoke.
Have you ever done karaoke?
No. Have you?
Never. No.
Oh, I don't think we're the type.
No.
I don't think you would see us going to a karaoke club and cutting a rug.
Now, I have jumped up on stage in pubs where there's been a live band and made an ass of myself. I've done that a few times. But
that's fun. That I've not done, but that I could see you doing, yeah.
Yeah, I was at a Bob Marley tribute bar in Toronto, and there was a reggae band on stage. It was a really tiny place called Whalers on St. Clair.
Nice.
We've been drinking, and all of a sudden the band stops playing whatever we don't notice. We keep drinking our Red Stripe, and all of a sudden the lead singer goes on stage and he's like, does anybody know how to play the drums? Because the drummer just left. He had somewhere to be, but we want to keep playing. I was like, yeah, I can play the drums. So I get up on stage and suddenly realized, I don't know how to play the drums. Why would I tell them that I know how to play the drums?
Right. How did it go? How did your performance go?
Not well.
It won't live down in history?
Or
some kind of history, I guess.
Some kind of history.
We cut the color. The color is gone, and we go back to a live version of Sunday Bloody Sunday. Now, is this the most passionate Sunday Bloody Sunday that you've heard you two ever record?
It's definitely up there.
Yeah.
Probably. Just
so
because of what had happened and him referencing it.
Yeah, the day of them performing this live, 11 people were killed by an IRA bomb in Enniskillen. So the IRA detonated a bomb during a Remembrance Day ceremony. So there have been a lot of veterans there, and people, as Bono said, people were shining up their medals and going out to Remembrance Day thing, and that's when the IRA exploded a bomb. Now, we've been to Belfast. You were a little bit deeper into Belfast than I went into Belfast. You and Kelly, I think I took a nap, and you and Kelly walked into some of the deeper parts of Belfast. Yeah, we were there in 97, and Omagh, the last bombing was 98. So IRA did a lot of horrible things in Belfast and in Ireland. So I can understand as an Irishman, he was really upset during this concert.
Yeah, I mean, Belfast at the time, if you remember when we were there, I mean, there were no police cars. There were armored
cars.
Tanks, armored tanks. So yeah, things have definitely changed there now, right? But at the time, things were. I remember walking up the Falls Road. It looked like you had been walking through Beirut. Like there were bombed out buildings next to Kentucky Fried Chicken. It was. I'd never seen anything like it. So.
Yeah, it was. And we'll talk more about our trip to Ireland when we review Pop, probably, because that's when we were there during the. Was it Pop? I think we were there. Yeah, it was 97. We were there.
Yeah.
So we'll talk more about that during the Pop episode.
Yeah, I'll give you the do's and don'ts of visiting Belfast.
And we finish with Pride. Again, I think the popularity of the song lets it down. It's a great version, recorded lovely, but I've heard so many versions of Pride that, they probably had to play Pride because it is probably at that point their best known song, and you couldn't have a U2 show without playing Pride. That's probably why it was the last song to be played. Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, again, I've heard it so many times. I mean, at that point, yeah, it was probably an interesting version because it had only been their second record, right? So,
Yeah.
or the two previous records on Fire. So, yeah, it's okay.
And it's no
Again,
fault.
yeah,
You go on.
yeah. I'm just none of it blew me away rewatching this. I don't know if you're getting that from me. Yeah, just I don't know.
Yeah.
But again, I'm sure when it came out, I was pumped.
Yeah. And it's no fault of the band. Like, the song is popular and the band do a great version of the song. So it's no fault of the band. And again, we're looking at this from 1988. It's been, at least 10 years since this movie's come out. And,
right.
We're different people than we were, when I was 13, 12, 13 years old when this album came out. So we're different people, and we just see it sort of a little bit differently now. And as we're reviewing this in our 30s, it's a different feeling, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I discovered a gray hair today. It was very upsetting.
I'm plucking hair out of my ears. So that's my life. Yeah, I've got to make sure I got no hair growing out of my ears. So being in your mid-30s is awful.
Yeah. I hate when I got to wake up in the middle of the night and change my own diaper.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying, you are a couple years older than me, so I haven't gone there yet. So I have something to look forward to in a couple of years.
Is this the end of the movie? Can we discuss the credits?
All right, let's do the credits. Go for it. What are your thoughts on the movie? Let's give it a review.
Okay, so I think the movie could have been like a great concert film, but instead it's just one of the worst music documentaries of all time. Yep. What do you consider a good music documentary? Let's start there, maybe. And don't say Rattle and Hum.
Oh, Christ. Spinal Tap, maybe?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
This outbeats Spinal Tap for ridiculousness, by the way, in my opinion.
Is that your opinion?
I think so.
Stop Making Sense is really good.
Ooh, I forgot about that one, yeah.
I love the stuff that Peter, what's his name, Peter Jackson did with the Beatles.
Okay.
I love that kind of stuff. But again, I want to see behind the scenes a little bit. I want to see what the band, I want to see how they recorded in Sun Studios. I think you said it last episode. You want to see behind the scenes in Sun Studios. What was it like to record in Sun Studios? We don't really get to see that at all in this movie. We see some performances in Sun Studio, but we don't get to see anything else in Sun Studios.
Have you seen a movie? It's on YouTube, and it's called Why Am I Doing This?
No, I've never had.
And it's about indie rock bands touring.
Yep.
Now, granted, it's not about U2 who's flying in private jets and buses and stuff, but it's probably one of the best touring documentaries I've ever seen. So that I would recommend if you're looking for a tour movie.
Yep.
That's for like music documentaries. I think Moon Age Daydream is really good. The Bowie. I don't know if you've seen that one yet.
Yep.
And HR from Bad Brains. I think it's called Joseph I, which is really good. I don't know if you're into Bad Brains at all, but
I've never seen that.
That's a good one too. It's because you get to know the people.
Yep.
You don't get to know anybody in this movie. Like, there's no connection. It's just kind of what we just did. We just rambled through it, right? It's like a song, an interview, a song, an interview, a song, an interview, a song, Edge rolling down the hill, a song, Larry staring off into space, a song, Adam staring at his bass guitar. Like, you don't get to notice. You don't get to know anybody.
No. There's another great movie called 1991, The Year Punk Broke, which is about Sonic Youth. I saw this one in the theater with my friend Henry. So it's Sonic Youth. It's got it has Nirvana in it. So this was recorded in 1991 before Nirvana released Nevermind. So Nirvana were still an unknown band. So it has a lot of behind the scenes stuff with Nirvana. It's a really good grunge movie. That I really love that movie too.
Right. So the only behind the scenes stuff that I picked up from this movie is in the credits. Actually, do you know how many truck drivers there were in this tour? Because they list them.
No, do they really? How many were there?
41.
Wow. That's a lot of shit.
I saw you know who Jason Aldean, I think, is a country singer.
Yeah.
I didn't see him, but I was out the other day and I saw the trucks because he was doing a concert on Ontario Place.
Okay.
Roll by me, and he had 10, which I thought was kind of outrageous.
Yeah.
But yeah, 41 truck drivers. Do you know how many bus drivers there were?
How many?
4, including Rufus Crockett.
Okay. And now this was not a big tour, not compared to what you're going to see U2 do in a few years with, Zoo TV and Pop Mart. Those were elaborate stage shows. These were not elaborate stage shows. So I'd be curious to see what their truck content was like, or their bus content was like.
Do you know how many people were on a private jet?
Exactly.
There were 8 staff on the private jet.
Yeah. No, they're in a different stratosphere. Like, they moved from an important band to superstars during these 2 years, right?
Yeah,
all right. So here,
sorry, just one last thing. It kind of reminded me of those unauthorized documentaries you see where there's ones about U2 or the Beatles, and it's like the fake Beatles music behind it. Except in this one,
it's real.
It's like that, but it's got the real music in it.
Yeah.
It's just pointless.
Here are my thoughts. I think this movie I think what they intended it to be and what it turned out to be is not the same. Once Paramount Pictures got involved with all that extra money and they were able to do those elaborate shows and do like the lighting and stuff like that, I think the movie got lost. I think when you have a young director like this who doesn't have a firm hand of what he wants to do, I think he got bullied, and U2 didn't want certain things, and they had final cut, if I'm not mistaken, of what could and couldn't be in the film. And I think a more accomplished director could have stood up to the band and made it a much more interesting movie. Joanna, it wasn't that. He was a young guy. He was not that accomplished director, nor has he ever become an accomplished director. I think if you have someone on hand who was able to tell the band no, I think the movie could have been a very different movie. Would have been better or good? I have no idea, but it would have been a different movie.
Well, to quote Paul McGuinness, it was a fuck up.
Yep. No, and they had an opening night in New York City, and they rolled out all the red carpets. They did all the interviews they could do, and I went to see this movie 3 weeks later in the same movie theater that I saw it opening night, and it was sold out opening night, and I saw it 3 weeks later, and it was me and 2 other people in the cinema, right? So it did not I think it made $8.6 million at the box office, which is nothing. It's not nothing now, and it wasn't nothing in 1988. So the album was successful. The movie was not successful. But there is a but. I think if this movie was successful, we wouldn't have gotten Achtung Baby. I think this is a direct result. Achtung Baby is a direct result of this movie being absolutely panned, and U2 taking a punch to the gut, and they had to change their tactics, and we got Achtung Baby, so I'm okay with that.
And that's your final thought on the movie?
That's my final thought.
It's a good one.
Yeah, that's my final thought. I did and I talked about this earlier. I did Hawkmoon 269 on a previous episode with my nephew that I do on another podcast. And he had nothing of the backstory. He knew nothing about the album. He knew nothing about U2 in the 80s. And he liked the song for liking the song, for the song's sake. I think people now can watch this movie without the baggage that we have, without the luggage that we bring to it. So I think it could find a whole new audience of people that just want to hear good songs and not care about what U2 or experience or what the 80s were like. I think that's quite possible. And we're reviewing it with a lot of baggage and a lot of luggage attached to us.
Speak for yourself. Hey, can we talk about Robbie Robertson for a moment?
Yeah, go do it.
So they do think...
How's the saga going with Robbie?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I haven't really been catching up on the old estate fighting. I should have looked that up. Thank you for reminding me.
We'll do it next time. Yeah.
They do thank him in the end credits.
Really?
Yeah, but I do want to talk briefly about something that I had no idea existed.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it's called, but it's a documentary about the documentary. Now, how is that for a fucking ego? And it's narrated by Robbie Robertson. Have you watched this thing?
No, I've not heard. What? It's a documentary about Rattle and Hum?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I don't think I've ever seen it. Where did you find this?
I found this on YouTube. I'll send you the link.
Okay. Yeah.
The title's in Spanish. Everything's in English. So I have no idea what it is, what it's called. But yeah, it's a documentary about the documentary. It's got all these outtakes and a bit of description about the band. And I found it more interesting than Rattle and Hum.
Okay.
So when I was trying to find Rattle and Hum for free,
I found
this documentary and watched it. So
Okay.
yeah, mildly interesting footage of them swaggering around. But
send me the link.
I'll send you the link.
At some point, once maybe all the other episodes are over, we have to watch the Rattle and Hum outtakes, which are all on YouTube. I've not watched a single one. So we might have to do that. This could be our, Beatles on Apple TV or Disney TV or whatever the hell was on, where there's like 4 hours of the documentary of the Beatles.
We'll do a reaction podcast. Maybe by then we'll have 5,000 downloads and we can start doing video podcasts.
Well, if you want to, we do look pretty good for our mid-30s. So if you do want to do that, let me know. We'll do a live YouTube streaming.
If anybody's still listening.
That's true. If anyone still listens to us. Okay, so next week, do you want to do a review of the documentary of Rattle and Hum, or did you want to do the Bono one-man show that's on Prime?
You're pushing your fucking luck with both requests. I'll do the Bono movie, which is what we should probably do, because he's been all over the news for good or bad. Yeah. And
are you going to talk about Joe Rogan? You mentioned you were going to talk about Joe Rogan. Is this your platform?
Well, we could if you're interested in this.
Yeah. I have not seen the interview because I can't stand Joe Rogan and I don't know if I can listen to it for 3 hours.
So I used to not mind him.
Yep.
And then I actually saw him live do a show. It was probably his first stadium concert. So I saw Rogan do stand-up at the Air Canada Centre, or whatever it's called now. This was a while ago. It was probably 10, maybe 12 years ago.
Right.
I don't know if you know Tony Hinchcliffe. He was the opener.
Yeah.
So,
I know Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah, so he's got the Kill Tony podcast, and he's the one who did the Trump thing at Madison Square Garden, and he did the joke about Puerto Rico, and all hell broke loose just before the election. Yep. So anyways, I saw that show there, and I vowed I would never see another stand-up show in a stadium or an arena.
Was it boring?
It's boring. It's awful. You can't see anything. You barely can hear the jokes. I don't know. I think comedy should be in a small room, like in a comedy club. Yep. So fast forward 5 years ago, and I bought tickets to go see Ricky Gervais, who was going to do a small theater. I like Ricky.
Yeah, Ricky's cool.
All of a sudden, this thing called the pandemic happened. I don't know if you guys got that in Australia.
Oh, I think we heard something about that.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways, the show was canceled.
Yeah.
But you could keep your ticket, and then whenever it got rebooked after the pandemic, which was going to only last a couple of weeks, and blah, 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 blah. So it ends up that they're going to move the Ricky Gervais show into a stadium. And I'm like,
is it for spacing?
I was for spacing, I'm sure. And they probably sold a few more tickets. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah. And, I want my money back. So now I'm in a civil case with Ticketmaster.
Yeah.
And I'm still waiting for my money back.
Holy shit.
Yeah. I'm actually in 2 civil cases against Ticketmaster. One's for service charges if they owe me. Yeah. And then this one here. So if anybody from Ticketmaster is listening to this thing, give me my fucking money.
Yeah. Fuck you, Ticketmaster.
Yeah. So where was I? I just went on a rant.
Yeah. Joe Rogan, Bono.
Joe Rogan. Yeah. Joe Rogan and Bono. Bono probably owes me some fucking money too for all the pain and suffering he's made me go through.
Yeah, probably.
It was excruciatingly tone deaf, painful, and ridiculously fucking boring. I can't believe I actually sat through 3 hours of it.
Yeah.
If you don't even watch the video, at least read the comments. The comment sections is
amazing. Yeah,
is amazing. Unlike the JD Fortune comment sections, that were all positive. None of these are positive. I should have looked at how many views the videos had now, because Rogan usually, 4 or 5 million views. I doubt this video got that many. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
2 things are interesting now. Your man Bono claims that before he gets onto a talk show, he gets really nervous and can't collect his thoughts. That's fucking bullshit, of course, right?
Yeah.
They go on this long talk about comedy, which you can tell Bono has no fucking clue what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And then they go on to another big long rant about UFC and fighting, which again, fucking Bono. He's the fighter.
Bono's an expert. Yeah.
He's an expert.
Yeah.
But the highlight of the 3 hours is Bono's hair dye is absolutely the worst fucking thing I've ever seen on a man since Paul McCartney had hair dye about 6 years ago.
Yep.
Well, that's my review of the 3 hours of Bono on Rogan.
That's fair. Yeah. It's got this orangey tint to it. I don't understand it personally, but
it's really ridiculous. Yeah. And of course he does his usual thing. He rants about Trump and he rants about a whole bunch of things. I was shocked that Rogan actually kind of agreed with him on some of this stuff, because I know Rogan's kind of turned into a bit of a conservative darling.
Yeah. I can't listen to Rogan because he's just so fucking stupid. And he's just a lunkhead, and he's, I haven't liked Rogan from when he was on Talk Radio, which is a TV show. Mm-hmm. I hated him on Talk Radio. I thought his character was awful. And and that, whatever that show was where people ate bugs.
Fear Factor.
Fear Factor. I've hated him for years, and I can't listen to him at all. So yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I don't think I can watch it.
I usually tune in if he has a comedian on.
Yeah.
Or somebody who's really interesting, like a Quentin Tarantino. I find his interviews pretty interesting to listen to.
See, I liked when Bill Burr was on his show, because Bill Burr pretty much called him out and he goes, "Joe, what are you doing? You don't know what the fuck you're talking about."
Right.
So I like Bill Burr. He's funny. But yeah, I can't do it. I just can't.
Yeah. Well, you got Bono and you got Joe Rogan. So
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it was awful.
All right. So next week we're going to do the Bono one-man show, and I can't remember what the show is even called, but we'll do a review of that. And you have to get, is it Apple? Is it Prime? What is it? Is it Prime?
I think it's on Apple. Yeah.
Apple. So you have to get your Apple. Maybe I'll see if I can share my
don't say that on here. I'm going to shut you down.
I won't share it with you. Don't even ask me for it.
It's fine. I'll get it, and then I'll rewatch Slow Horses. Something I actually enjoy.
There you go.
Yeah. I think it's called I Am Bono.
I Am Bono, Hear Me Roar. Is that what it is? That's what it should have been called.
Yeah. Well, you know what you can probably do is just cut and paste my review of the Rattle and Hum movie and probably put it
right over here. Yeah. Yeah. Andrew, what were your thoughts? And I'll just copy it over.
Here are my final thoughts. I'd just like to thank all the 1,000 people that have downloaded episodes over the last month, and I appreciate it, and the support and the it's very interesting.
Yeah. No, it's been good. Like, I think having 1,000 people. Let me rephrase that. It's not 1,000 people. It's 1,000 downloads. So people could have been downloading multiple episodes. But I'd like to thank the hundreds of people that have downloaded our podcast. You're very appreciated. There is a section here called Send Us a Text. So send us a text. Tell us what you think of us, how much you like us or hate us. We'll take either. I don't care.
Now, do you get like a report as to where the downloads are coming from, like a city or a country?
We're big in Germany.
Of course.
Yeah, big in Germany. England, we get a lot of downloads from England. Canada, of course. Australia, we get a lot of downloads from both. I think because I have a Portuguese name, we get a few downloads in Brazil and Portugal, strangely enough. But it's pretty much, for a while there, I was really big in Indonesia, because on my other podcast, I featured an Indonesian artist as one of our independent artists. So we got a lot of downloads from Indonesia at one point, but that sort of dried up. So I'll have to bring him back on to just get those Indonesian numbers back up. Yeah. So that's pretty much what we get. There's a lot in Europe and North America and Australia.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. And yeah, we're going to, I guess, talk to you next week.
If we must.